In what ways have birds negatively impacted your life? A bird shat on my head while I was staring at the Eiffel Tower. Would have ruined the romantic moment, except I was by myself. Edit, I hit the thousands in upvotes on a comment about being pooped on. Classic. Here in South Australia we have magpies. There is swooping season when they make nests in the many trees around us and swoop anyone walking under them. And it's terrifying, they are big birds and can take an ear off no problems. You never see them coming, just the click sound of their beaks just missing your ears. Bicycle riders often have zip ties in the helmets to scare them off, or you walk to school with a big stick to keep them away. A swan stole my hamburger. My car is a beacon for all avian life. I've hit 13 birds and a freaking owl in the last year and a half. Okay, this is a long story, so bear with me. Many years ago, when I was 5, and my brother was 3, we were in the backyard with my grandmother. She was preparing a chicken and chopped the head off of it. It lurched towards my brother, who screamed and took off running. I don't know the scientific explanation for this, it didn't have part of the brain stem or anything like that, but the damn chicken took off after my brother. It must have felt the vibrations from his screams or his running somehow, but he literally circled our swing set 3 or 4 times, with the headless chicken chasing him. I'm standing there watching this, he screams for help, I tell him to climb up the ladder on the slide, knowing the chicken couldn't do that. The sob hopped right up the ladder after him like it was no problem. My brother screamed and slid down the slide as it neared the top, and sure enough, the chicken went down the slide after him, took 3 or 4 steps once it got up, and keeled over dead. My brother died a few years ago, so he can't back this up, but I was talking to a mutual friend about a month ago and asked him if he had ever heard the story. He said he told everybody that story. It's crazy, but I swear to you it happened, just like I described. A mockingbird outside learned to imitate the beep 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 beep, beep 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 of my alarm clock. The mockingbird would get up early to show that clock who was boss bird of the neighborhood. There is no snooze button on a mockingbird, but there are shotguns. Probably too late, but my boyfriend dumped me over the phone at work. Left the office to meet a friend and cry it out in the park, and a bird shat on my head. I was at a zoo exhibit that lets you buy little fish and feed them to the seals below by dropping them down. As I reached out to drop the first fish, a fucking seagull swoops down and steals the entire bag of fish and flies away. I've posted this before, and will probably post it again, but here I am posting it now. I was at SeaWorld, roughly 9 years old, and feeding the dolphins. The seagulls were swarming, as they are wont to do, so my big fat dad was standing over me batting the seagulls away. One gull got past his guard and snatched a fish out of my hand with the lightning reflexes of a papa bear. He snagged the gull out of the air and dunked it under the water until it let go of the fish. Then, he handed the fish back to me. I was mortified at the time, but now there is one seagull out there that knows we will put up a fight. Fear us, seagulls. This was 20 years ago. That seagull is dead, dad is old and slow, and we are defenseless against them. Everyone stop giving this bird ideas. Honk 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 honk. Chirping and singing at 5 a.m. I lived opposite a KFC for a couple of years and got fatter than I would like. They nest under my carport, which has eaves that are open to the inside, and also use the rafters over my car, so they poop all over my car all summer long. I don't have the heart to evict the little shits though. Guy fucking hate birds. Attacked by seagulls when living in NY as a 6-year-old, was trying to eat a hot dog. Attacked by geese while trying to feed some really friendly ducks in a park at 11 years old. Attacked by a seagull for my elephant ear in Disney World. Chased by a swan halfway across campus my first day of college. Fucking screaming birds nesting right outside my window screaming starting at 6 in the morning. Fuck birds man, fuck them and fuck their stupid songs and dick bird watchers too. So how do you feel about geese? A bird's poo landed perfectly on my hairdo while I was posing for a commencement picture with the rest of the class. I got chased by wild turkeys a few years ago at my grandparents' house. It was pretty scary at the time. Turkeys can be scary. One of them got into my garage and tried to attack me. All I had to do was nudge him with my shoe to get him out, so I guess that makes him chicken, funnily enough. For the last month, every morning, I have hit no less than one bird on my way home from work. I've asked and no one else seems to be having this problem. Why do they come to me to die? My partner's parrot is a loud, obnoxious, temperamental little jerk. I love him, but my life is much noisier now. There used to be a pair of ducks and a chicken that would hang out outside the Starbucks I worked at. The ducks would come and go, because ducks fly. Yes, I know the lady duck only has 1 foot. No, she doesn't need a pastry. No, she doesn't need water. Yes, she can fly. I've seen her do it. She's fine. She's a wild animal, she's fine. Ignore them. The chicken, though. That chicken. We called her Sasha. We don't know where she came from, in the fairly urban edge of Anaheim, but she was there. Lovely red gold hen who would lay eggs around the dumpster. No, I am not killing her babies. Do you see a rooster? Do you know how birds work? No, I am not going to eat the eggs our trash-fed chicken deposited in the mud. Smuggest fucking chicken ever. Stood in the middle of the drive-thru during rush hour, shat all over the patio, and feared no man. Eventually we caught her and relocated her to a nearby park. How did a bird negatively affect my life? She had me chasing her around a parking lot at 12 AM like a moron. Boob. Oh Sasha. I hope the frequenters of that park were really, really confused by your appearance. A cockatiel bit my finger. They're the types of birds who prefer to be spoken to, not touched. And if they do let someone touch them, that's likely the only person allowed to touch them. They got too flappy then disappeared. Up is spreading bird propaganda. Wouldn't be surprised if he's from here. If he was an enlightened birdman, he wouldn't be talking shit about birds. So he's a filthy mudman scrawwoo. When I was little I went to the zoo with my best friend and her family. Her dad had us in a double stroller and pushed us right up next to the ostrich pen and one of them came at us all aggressively. So now I'm terrified of ostriches. Although I guess that's really more a way he impacted my life negatively by using birds than birds themselves negatively impacting my life. I visited an ostrich farm once upon a time and learned that they are exceptionally stupid. I got to feed them dried corn from a plastic wine glass that I called my ostrich chalice. They are terrifyingly fast and big for such derpy animals. You can also eat them as a form of revenge for your childhood trauma. Birds are cunts. They shit wherever they please, they'll steal your food, they'll attack you for no reason when you're walking down the sidewalk minding your own business. They're predators. Ever look in a bird's eye? No souls. There's nothing going on there but cold, calculated malice. You think it's a coincidence they call a group of crows a murder? That's why I praise my cat every time she catches one of those evil little things, and I'll tell you something else about birds that my cat can also affirm, they're delicious. I used to have a parakeet. One time he was out of his cage flying about and flew into my cereal and started taking a bath in the milk. I live on a lake. My backyard is constantly covered in geese shit. can't close my garage door. It's my fault. I left it open for so long that a pair of barn swallows made a nest on top of the door. I don't want to hurt the babies, so I hate pigeons. They are rats with wings and spread diseases. Once I saw a pigeon so fat that it couldn't fly, and got hit by a cab while walking in an intersection. Holy shit. Holy shit. You think you couldn't get a serious answer to this question? I will never forget what birds have done to me. During spring semester at university, whenever I would try to go to sleep, these birds outside my room would not stop with their incessant cawing. Closing the windows and laying in the stifling heat would not mute them. Every day, without fail. I'm not a light sleeper, but this was too much. Nothing like trying to get a good night's sleep once in a while as a STEM major and then being unable to because of the motherfucking birds. This happened all semester. What was I supposed to do? Build a motherfucking scarecrow? A bloody peacock stole my cinnamon bun. In Sweden. A bird broke my heart, mate. Broke my heart. Shitting on things, building nests where you don't want them, and fornicating in public. They should get a room. Birds do not negatively affect us. Birds are wonderful. We must all bow down to birds. Well, they've pooped on me a couple times. That's fairly negative. A Canada goose once bit me as a child. I've never forgiven the bastards. The Toronto Blue Jays have caused me immense stress over the past couple of seasons. Does that count? D. The bird is fucking annoying. I'm waiting for a /u/fucks with ducks comment. My cousin's wife has ornithophobia, though honestly it's kind of funny. Makes it hard to go to the beach, though. My grandmother was late to my bar mitzvah because she was on a birding trip. A bird shat on me on my way to Magic Mountain, this awesome games place from the 90s noughties in Australia, and I was wearing socks and sandals. I like to think it was karma for having such bad fashion choices when I was 5. Ruined my day. Screw-wee. I was strolling along a shopping district on an afternoon and for absolutely no reason, a freaking pigeon tried to nest itself on my hair. This happened outside of a Starbucks as I desperately tried to fight the bird with everybody in the Starbucks staring at me. Needless to say, this was the most embarrassing moment of my life and I have a fear of birds from then on. Disclaimer, I had short and spiky hair back then, so I have no idea how my hair resembles a nest. I was mowing my lawn and saw a dead bird. Went to the shed, got a shovel, and buried him under a tree. I then cried for many hours. When you let them fly away because you want to see if they fly back because they really love you. She never flew back. Blue bird. We had a problem with feral pigeons. They used to hang around our house and shit everywhere. I just hate those shitheads. One day 2 of those assholes were sitting on a chimney. I picked up a stone and tried to hit them with it. Didn't hit the birds, the stone flew over our house and hit my Alfa Romeo's back door, leaving a huge scratch. I had to get it resprayed. I hate those little shits. I live near the water, and the seagulls from the marina learned when it was lunchtime at my high school, which had a big outdoor quad where we ate. Every day at the end of lunch, the quad was swarmed by seagulls who terrorized the school with the threat of shitting on everyone. Many students were shit on while crossing the quad to get to class. Thankfully I made it through all 4 years unscathed, but I still don't really like seagulls. Okay, I'm going to be frank, I'm really afraid of birds. Heights, snakes, darkness, all are fine, but when birds come along I can't help but recoil in fear. They are way too much of a wild card. How the hell would you defend yourself if a bird decided to attack you? Every time I have to pass under one I just imagine it flying into my face and peeking my eyes out. Going into those open enclosures at zoo is a nightmare. And God, don't get me started on chickens. I worked at a farm once, and there was this real asshole of a rooster. He eyed me every time I came within 50 feet of one of the hens like I was going to start violently kidnap his harem of hens and take them as spoils of war. One day when I collecting eggs from the coop, he decided he had had enough of me and made his bid for freedom by flying up at me and attacking. It took the better part of 2 hours and a violent standoff within him before I managed to corral all the escaped chickens back into their enclosure. So yeah, the constant fear of birds I have to live with negatively affects life. I would give birds a 2/10. Anyone who has gone hiking in grouse territory has probably had the span of their life shortened by damn birds. When a grouse spots a potential threat, their first instinct is not to fly away, but to hunker down to the ground and freeze. For a bird that spends most of its time on the ground, this is a good way to keep from being spotted, especially since grouse have evolved to blend in really well with their surroundings. Of course, that also means that creatures who aren't hunting them can't spot them, either. So you can be walking directly towards one and not know it, and since they generally will not give up on their just hide strategy until the last possible second, this can and does result in a bird the size of a football suddenly exploding into flight literally right out from under your foot as you take a step. At which point you have a fucking heart attack. Goddamn grouse. My cousin/roommate has a pet conure that is fine with me 90% of the time. The other 10% is in the early morning when it screams at me incessantly if I turn my back to it while in the room. She refuses to move his cage. I've been sleeping on the couch for a week and plan to move out in 2. A bird was hiding in my garage this morning and scared the shit out of me as I was getting into the car. I had nightmares for a week after my parents took me to see Hitchcock's The Birds at the drive-in theater. Liked what you saw? Hit like, subscribe.